You're watching a webcam shootout of a Akaso V50X, a Logitech 9 C22X, a GoPro Hero 8 Black, a Campark PC02 and PC03 webcams, and a Canon M6 MK2 camera, which is a very, very expensive camera. Well, not that expensive, but it's about $1,000 for that camera with the lens that I'm using, the 15 to, or sorry, the 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens. So as you can see, the Akaso is just not very stable. I was hoping to have it be a little bit more stable. I don't know if this is just my unit, but it's not very stable. So maybe we'll have to take this out of the video. Here's the Logitech C922X. This camera is a workhorse. It's only got MJPEG, doesn't have the H.264, but it's pretty good quality, and the MJPEG is actually significantly lower latency. So this is the default settings out of the box. If you want to get these things to look good, you're going to have to use one of these color correction charts. So what you do is you add a color correction filter on the camera like this. And so you want to get these colors to look like they do in real life and make your skin look good. Make the you notice there's a lot more detail there. Although now my skin is a little bit pinkish. So you got to fight the sensor here a little bit. So then there's this, here's the saturation. You'll see the when it gets overly saturated, it'll blow out there. So it seems to be about 0.1 down or so, maybe a little bit more. This isn't very good color correction. It's a little bit better. I don't know how I lived life without these things, to be quite honest. I think my videos were really bad and I thought I was ugly. So let's move on to the next one. Here's the Campark PC02. So right out of the box, this is absolutely not acceptable, but it's I think this is actually a Windows issue. So what I'm going to do is going to go into the camera settings, configure the video, and it's this not that one, the exposure. So here, okay, this is acceptable. This is actually pretty decent. What do we have in the video config options? I accidentally made it close. So we got all our options. Here's the white balance. It showed it to be 4.6K. My light bulbs are 5K light bulbs everywhere. So this doesn't look too bad. Let's color correct it. See what we can get this thing to look like real quick. Although last time I didn't do such a good job. got a little bit of an orangish tone. So one of the things to look at is like the details in the blacks behind me. It's like you're balancing the details in the blacks to how good your skin's gonna look, and then a lot of times you kind of just have to like sacrifice one for the other. What does that look like? Less orangey. Is it saturation? Well, it doesn't look oversaturated. It's like a subtle difference between these two skin tones right here. Helps to blow out the saturation and then go backwards. Right. So it's supposed to look a little bit like there's some saturation. That looks okay. That doesn't look bad. I would give this camera a pass. Default settings out of the box, I'm going to say, are like horrible. They're absolutely atrocious. I would never use those. This, though, I mean, this isn't bad. So let's look at the PC03 webcam. Here's the PC03 webcam. As you can see, it's got a lot, got a privacy security thing. So the colors look a little bit overly saturated, a little bit robotic. I don't really like the sensor. So also too, you'll notice this camera actually has a absolutely hideous feature to it. Let's just look at my face. So I'll move around and then I'll stand still. Ah! Oh my god! You're like, is this house haunted? Am I seeing something like some weird, it's like an alien virus that's taking this guy over? Wait, watch. Woo! Damn! It's just like all the zits on my face, like, just start to come out. And what this is it's the H64 compression on this. So let's look at what this thing looks like over here. Not that one, sorry. It's this thing. I'm gonna go to MJPEG. Oh no, it's not the H264 compression, sorry. It looks horrible. It doesn't look too bad while you're moving, and then you stand still and it's like there's like this alien virus that took over you and is just looking absolutely horrible. Let's again see the difference between the MJPEG and the H264. All right, and you can see there's definitely a good increase in quality when you go over to the H264. It also has less noise. You'll see the noise. Every camera has noise, but this H264 compression will make the noise go away because they compress it. It's like they take you can imagine they take a picture of the thing, and then whatever part's moving in the picture, they'll just update that part, which is a much smarter way to go about encoding videos. There's a lot less noise from the sensor that way. This one, okay, let's color correct it. All right. Excuse me. Is that Kobe? This always makes it easier to color correct if there's stuff in the background. I'm trying to get the Ooh. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this webcam, to be honest. I just don't like the sensor. There's details in the blacks in the TV. You'll see maybe more detail than the other sensors. Not really too much you can do to make it look good, though. And this isn't horrible, but what are we're going to see the Hero 8 Black next. Maybe I can get it to look better, but I mean it's okay. It's not the best. It's too cartoonish. So here's the Hero 8 Black. Looks like we're in ultra wide mode. And this camera is very amazingly versatile. It works really good. Sometimes it's a headache to get it to work right. I don't know if I can hold up that color correction thing. I think these are GoPro colors right here. I'm not going to color correct it because honestly, I would need to start with flat in order to do that. And I would probably end up with something that kind of looks like this, except for maybe I could take out some of the saturation. I think on the GoPro, you could take out -2. And then, oops. So here's -2 on the saturation. And so let's compare this to a fancy camera, the Canon M6 Mk2. Lens distortion there on the side. Gotta love that. Oh, maybe let's compare that lens distortion to the PC03. Lens distortion, I'll go over to here. Similar. Not really worse than GoPro. I think we're in the ultra wide view on the GoPro. And so here's the Canon M6 Mk2. This is the flat color grade. Okay, so this is a 4K image scaled down to 1080p using a CamLink 4K. This is what I'd highly recommend that you do if you get this camera. You could get a M6 and use the 1080p, or even you could get the M6 Mark II and use the 1080p, but it's going to be noisy. When you compare the 4K downsample to 1080p on this camera compared to the Sony, like this is going to look as good or better than the Sony, just not going to have as good low light performance. So let's throw some color correction on here. What do we got? That's looking better. Yeah, that contrast really helps. I'm trying to get details in the black and the contrast. That can be a struggle with cameras. Sometimes not every camera is perfect. Like if you ever find a perfect camera out there, if you could please let me know. And the saturation looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit low. Okay, so here's a little saturation boost, just to give me a little bit more fleshy colors. It was a little bit anemic. I think that looks pretty good. So with the color correction, this is definitely amazing. I mean, understandably, the vast majority of people who are going to watch this video aren't going to want to invest $1,000 into a camera. Me personally, I used to think that I was ugly because I always saw pictures of myself with really bad cameras. And some people are lucky enough that they look really good even on bad cameras. So I guess I was comparing myself to these people. But since I've had a really fancy camera, I've realized that I'm not actually ugly, which is cool. These really fancy cameras can bring out all the bad details on your face. But then again, let's compare it to that PC03, the hideous, the camera that just like all of a sudden you get alien viruses growing on you. That's like, you're like, what is that? Like some nanovirus in my blood that they pumped in me through some secret government program or something. Woo! I don't like this webcam. I'm gonna have to give the PC03 a big thumbs down over there. And although, okay, I do like the colors, kinda, but I've seen them look pretty bad. Definitely seen them look pretty bad. This one, I don't know if I'm gonna keep, because that to me looks pretty. I could almost use that. I mean, yeah, that is fairly usable. It's a little bit dark because of the exposure settings. Let's turn this display off. And so here's the properties thing. Oh, wait, hold on. Can't turn the display off and look at it at the same time, huh? Oops. Okay, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. So there's a pan, a tilt, and a roll in here, but no, it's not actually happening there. So the auto exposure is gross. It's horrible. It's horrible. That is actually fairly good. So let's compare this to the 4K downsampled image of the $1,000 camera. There's a slight yellowish tint. That might be a deal breaker. Maybe we could change that with some color correction. The light's fairly low back there, given by the exposure. Some cameras do better with different exposure conditions. So that looks, you know, fairly decent. Can we hue shift? That actually looks really cool. All right, so, but yeah, right. So we're right here. Greenish, here's the reddish shift. Is it the white balance? Let's check out the white balance. It can be a hassle to deal with the white balance. So let me see, maybe show you what I'm doing over here. So where is that? Oops. The lights in this room are 5K. What does that look like? Okay, it's a white balance issue. You know, this actually looks really good. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this webcam. I have it set up to return currently because that auto exposure thing was woo, damn. That was, I mean, that was pretty bad. The auto exposure out of the box is really bad. This is really good, actually. This is not bad at all. This is actually, this is better than Logitech C922X. So let's look at this. So here, yeah. I'm sorry, that doesn't look good at all. It's pretty bad. Can we maybe we have a cheap webcam champion, a webcam, yeah, a budget webcam champion. This Campark definitely looks like a winner. We're gonna look at the white balance. We got to be fair. We got to be fair. We got to get the white balance the same between the two. And the Akaso, honestly, I was hoping that it was going to work. I've had good luck with the Akaso V50X, but there's overheating issues with the camera. I'm trying to figure out a mod because I think it's good enough to justify modding. So here is here's the Logitech settings. Get rid of this stuff. Ooh, there's a bunch of menus popping up over here. So here's the white balance. I'm gonna get rid of this, and then we're gonna now let's compare this to the auto white balance. Is my white balance a little bit more? I mean, here's that 5K. This looks a little bit yellow. Okay, so the light when it diffuses off the wall is going to be a different temperature than when it first left. Is it auto white balance to 4K? It looks to be a little bit more like here. I'm gonna get back on the filter because we gotta, you know, before we can declare a winner here, we have to compare apples to apples. It doesn't matter whatever raw settings you got. We care about what I can tweak it into, you know, because most people are going to look at this and be like, I found this one used for $30. I found ones that aren't Campark that look the same, have the same specs. Okay, so this is starting to look better. The changes are subtle. A lot of times it helps to like to do this. This is like full screen, and make them longer. Actually really helps because there's a lot of like different gradient, or I'm not sure if gradient's the right words. There's a lot of different combinations that you can get with a very small amount of movement here with this thing. This is looking fairly good. Looks pretty accurate. These two skin tones, I can't tell too much difference between them. I can, yeah, I can. That's the trick, is you want to be able to see the difference between those two skin tones. I feel like that's actually pretty decent. It's overexposed. That's the other thing about this, is that it's overexposed. So let's take the exposure. Is it over? Look. So let's go back to the filters. And then or maybe here, let me explain to, okay, yeah. Let me show you what the light that I'm using is, so that you can tell. Here, the light that I'm using, this is actually really cheap. It's a, I like it. I think I got it on used like new for like 18 or 19 bucks. And I've had really good luck with it. Document camera. Well, that's with the Logitech. The Logitech's my document camera. And I was doing inventing on camera, but you can gobble up all your time. And then I started doing live streaming news, and then, you know, politics is toxic. Oops. Okay, so what is my recommendation for you? Honestly, dude, this, let's compare GoPro again. Should we compare apples to apples? Let's compare apples to apples. This is what I don't like about the GoPro. I hate this. At least with the Canon M6, it turns on. And for a while, okay, here's apples to apples. Obviously, this is not very good color correction. Probably brightness gamma up. No, there's definitely don't want to look like an Android. Brightness back up. The color temperature, definitely the auto detection on the color temperature, much better. That's pleasing. So let's go back to the Campark. Go. I don't know, man. Better than GoPro? Better than GoPro? Okay, less of a hassle than GoPro? All right. I'm definitely going to give it a, definitely it's less of a hassle than GoPro. Is it better than GoPro? Let's look. Look at my eyes. Let's look at, take the thing off. Keeping in mind this is MJPEG. Right. Oops. I lost it here. Yeah, it's MJPEG. Sorry, just checking out the... Okay, I did that. That's my fault. I did something. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so there's a little bit of softness around... did I change? That was, I changed it from the default settings. So here's back to default settings. It's pretty much just 1080p 30 MJPEG. You know, honestly, this is some of the best MJPEG I've seen. I've seen some pretty bad MJPEG. Okay, so on this GoPro Hero 8 Black, there's like an HDMI port, and you can buy a, do I have one? You can buy a cheap, yeah, I do. Actually, I got one. Cool. Check it out. We could buy like one of these cheap HDMI converters. I recommend getting the one that has the cord or the cable attached to it, because there's, if these ones put too much torque on the USB port. And so the MJPEG, this looks pretty good. But the MJPEG, like the colors, when you look at that GoPro back there, they suck. The colors suck. This is usable. You know, comparing it, you know, to the Canon, which obviously is better. You can see less softness. Like when you look around my eyes, you can see that there's softness in the, or like around my eyes, like usually I think this thing's probably got like a I don't know what brand sensor does that. I think it's the OVA. I think the company's called CMOS, and then it's the OVA line of sensors. There's a little bit of it. I find that it's like a pleasant looking. It's like there's a little bit of sharpness on it. It's like they have like a proper amount of sharpness on it. But the colors on that MJPEG on that are the best I've seen. I have not seen anything this good. Let's turn on the lights and see what it looks like with the lights on. I see a little bit of aliasing, some flickering. What's that? Well, that's poopy. I don't like flickering. Don't know if there's anything that I've done to about it, but yeah, that looks pretty good. So let's go back to the GoPro Hero 8 Black. In linear mode. Hey, look at the colors on the, yeah, look at that lava lamp back there. Now look at over there, but then there's a little bit of flicker. I don't know if that's, I don't know what that is. It's not the 60 hertz, 50 hertz thing. I tried that. So this is the, sometimes you can get the wrong one. Let me double check. I think it's probably the auto exposure. So typically I found that to happen when you change the exposure settings. I don't know what to say because I just wish that it had better auto exposure, because that's, yeah, that's like the worst auto exposure you can come across. So here is when you turn off the light. This still looks good. Okay, so what have I done? I've tweaked it, tweaked the gain. This is with the auto exposure, tweaking the gain. And what did this do to this? Get rid of the, yeah, that blinky thing in the background. So I don't know. You know, this is decent. There's that white balance. Trying to get it to look good. Okay. All right. So that's the setting that you have to turn down. You have to turn down the gain on it. Let's go back to here. That's the 50 hertz thing, right? And this is still usable. Doesn't look as good as the taking the auto exposure off. But then you get flickering in the background. Yeah, you can see, okay, you can see the exposure. Not there. That's where it's supposed to be. So here's the settings. We can click the auto exposure, and it goes back to that, and then the gain. So there's a flickering right there, right? That looks right. Looking for it. See, just the stuff on the wall disappears. And then you could change that. I guess I've got overexposure on my nose. You can't fix that. There's no fix for that. The only real fix is to not have overexposure. Right. I don't know. I don't know. It seems to me like it looks good in some, maybe it could look good, but then there's like some annoying things about it. I don't know. Am I taking it back? So this isn't looking so good right here. Can I fix it with the software? I think that this is a much better video signal processing algorithm than the one on their chip. The one on their chip, I felt like I couldn't really get a good result out of. This is decent. Okay, so can we get rid of the flickering? Now let's do a green screen test. A lot of extra cameras right now. Whoa. Mess with that. Okay. Chroma Key. Here is the... If you were going to use this for a green screen, this is decent. Not perfect. Maybe we do this after the Chroma Key. Okay. It's taking a little bit of time to get in focus. Did I accidentally turn off the autofocus? Sometimes the autofocus has gotten lost. Honestly, that's not bad. It's really not that bad. I would say, you know, the sensor definitely has a little bit of a yellowish tint. So that's something maybe, you know, you could knock it a little bit. It has a look about it. I mean, everything is going to look good at in a different setting. Sometimes this is the perfect look. contrast, brightness. Take that up a little bit. Let's white balance. Okay, so that's not really bad at all. Really. And keep in mind, this is MJPEG. So for MJPEG, that's not bad. So let's look at the green screen on the Canon M6 MK2. And what does this one look like? That looks really good. Okay, this isn't a fair comparison. 4K downscaled to 1080p with perfect autofocus, just about. Yeah. And here's the other one. And there's a, I think there's a white balance issue. We could try the auto white balance again. I don't like the auto white balance. Just got a little bit. Okay, this is a better white balance, a little bit more real white balance. The other white balance was a little bit more orangey. I just go blue. Right? That looks pretty decent. I would use this. I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to use that. Now, when I got this fancy Canon M6 Mk2, it was because the autofocus on my Logitech C922X was not cutting it. The autofocus was garbage. Whenever I walked just a little bit away from, anything beyond like 6 feet, a webcam's going to do a really bad job of tracking. Webcams are typically built for you to be like very close to the camera. And you'll just be like out of focus if you'll be out of focus and it'll just like irritate you. And then you need to get one of those nice fancy cameras with the AI face tracking thing, and it'll track your eyes. Go back to that. This is looking a little bit pinkish. I don't know why this is looking a little bit pinkish. Maybe it's the color balance. Now, where you're going to definitely see a big difference is, boy, none of that's looking good, huh? Where you're going to see a big difference on this is with around my hair. So if you look in the hair here, the hair is got more waves in it. You could try to adjust it a little bit. That's not too bad. This is smoothness at like no smoothness. I think you want just a little bit of smoothness, actually, like makes your hair look more wavy. Just like that. That's just a little bit of, and then similarity. You know, honestly, this camera is really not too bad for a green screen. I'll recommend this to anybody for a green screen. Let's take the kill spill reduction off of it. But yeah, man, those out of the box settings just were nothing like this. So how about the let's see, the autofocus doesn't get confused. How long does it take to find me? That's decent. That's not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah. Yeah, I'd give this webcam a good review. Definitely. The green screen use is actually I'm having troubles getting this one to even look good. So can I mess around with lost him. Is this it? This is the CamLink 4K with their filter, whatever they have on it. And I'm like, what am I looking for? Looking for a white balance. You know, the white balance should be pro. Oh, right. The light thing. Right. Okay, so that was just the light. You know what? Honestly, without a light, that's looking pretty good. How's it looking with a light? So here's a light daylight filter or daylight light bulb. And yeah, that looks actually really good right there. Well, I'm pleased I get to actually give a good review of this webcam. I feel like the autofocus isn't too bad. It's a slower autofocus. You noticed it was slow when it moved. That's desirable. That's actually not super fast, but I would take that over a fast autofocusing. If it's in between really fast autofocusing and that, I'm going to take that. Okay, the green, the hair that's looking pretty good. I'm going to have to say the camera's just good enough to show my pimples here. The color's good. I would almost even replace my green screen with this camera. Or my Canon. I mean, that looks good, and it does look better. Doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, it does look better. I would not hesitate to use this, because I just feel like, what exact good does it do to have that extra $1,000 camera on this? Trying to tweak the settings just a little bit more so we can get more of an apples to apples color grade. More detail in my. It also helped to throw a color correction to boost the saturation. So here's the Chroma Key, and then I use the contrast, brightness, and gamma on the color key. So you can tell I've been doing a lot of green screen. I'm pretty decent with this. So then I went back in here and then I added some of that saturation back. Oh, because that was the thing that did that was the color spill key. Color spill key, and we got rid of the the green stuff around my hair, like that stuff. Let's see that green line. And then, you do too much and then you go black and white because it's doing something with like the saturation. So then we can just basically add that saturation back. add 0.2 and then add more of that spill color. So that's decent. I mean, okay, it's not perfectly in focus right now. So that's another thing you're gonna notice about the Canon is that the autofocus, I'm tack sharp. Like that's as sharp as it gets. It's like focusing in on my eyes, and that is giving a vastly better image due to the autofocus. I would not switch my green screen over to this. I would use this if I didn't already own really fancy cameras. Would I sell my cameras? I love my cameras. Okay, I'm looking sharp now. Another thing about having really fancy cameras, sometimes you don't want to turn them on as much because you're like, okay, I want to do something professional. Where like a webcam, it's like always on. You don't have to actually physically turn the camera on. So I can see that being beneficial. You know, that's not too bad. Here's another thing. If you're trying to do the green screen, you need to have one of these cards. Like, they're absolutely essential. So you could take the you're trying to make that, no, that one goes away, right? You don't want the yellow one to go away. You want it to, we're trying to make it, you look as yellow as possible, that one, and then make my skin look as fleshy as possible. Maybe we'll take down that spill color correction. Right. That was too much on that spill color correction. Okay. You know, that looks fairly decent. Right. That actually fairly decent. The autofocus is not perfect, right? But comparing both of them, okay, definitely a little bit there we go. Gamma down and brightness up on this one. Okay, that's more of like a good image. And then this, yeah, I mean, it definitely looks more like a webcam, for sure. It's definitely noticeable. It's more like a webcam. How about the GoPro comparison one last time, and then I'm going to be out. Here is the GoPro comparison. It's not really liking the greens behind me for some reason. Maybe I think it's the exposure. Different cameras handle exposure in different circumstances. You're looking, when you're trying to find a camera, you're trying to look for one that works in the situation that you want it to work in. Like that Akaso sometimes won't work out with the missing information in the blacks. Sometimes because of just the sensor and the image processor they use. I think the information's there, but then the image processor will lose it. And then here again, here's the Logitech. Turn the gamma down, brightness down just a little bit. And then if we were going to add a green screen to this one, it would it's definitely not as good for the green screen. Yeah, the Campark's better for the green screen. You can see around my hair. Just the, I mean, this isn't the same angle. Maybe this is a better angle to shoot that at, but it's actually not looking so good. Yeah, the Campark's definitely better for the green screen. Better for the green screen, for sure. That doesn't look too bad. But look at the around my hair. Whoa. Sorry. Had it in the wrong place there. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, this isn't very good for a green screen. So you want to look to see to get the you want that yellow to be there. You're just trying to turn that setting up to the minimum. That's about all we're getting. So you're not getting very good yellows out of there. It definitely looked like it got lost. It's hunting. There it goes. Looks pretty sharp. I'm in the corner, so that can be difficult for a lot of cameras to track the autofocus in the corner. Anything else? Are we trying to check this one out to see how bad this one is at the green screen? We can add the green screen Chroma Key. I don't know. I mean, are we even trying to try this one out? This one's... not bad. Almost better than standard. It's because it's the saturation, the colors on this thing just lend themselves better to a green screen. This isn't so bad for a green screen. Aside from the lens warping, the sensor's good for a green screen, just for the way that it was set up. But then it has the hidden beauty marks that show up like some sort of weird lab chemical that I just took. I'm going to turn into the Incredible Hulk or something, or like some aliens are going to like come out of my skin. Ugh. But that's not too bad for the green screen, to be quite honest. Aside from the lens warping, you know, it's not really usable for a green screen. I don't think anybody would really buy this thing for a green screen. But you know, these colors are a little bit more like a GoPro, but the colors just aren't very good. I just haven't been too impressed with it. So let's see. I'm going to sign out. Thank you for watching this webcam shootout. It was actually a lot of fun to play around with all those webcams. A little bit tricky to set them all up in OBS on a laptop because there's not as many USB ports, and OBS is kind of finicky about, I think it's Windows is just finicky about what ports you plug the USB or the webcams into. You can only have like one on each hub. It's very confusing. It's not a very easy thing. So until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with your friends. I think everybody likes to buy webcams. Everybody likes having a good camera. And there's pretty good information in this one. So thank you very much for watching. Until next time, farewell, sayonara, aloha, peace be with you, and Godspeed in your journeys.